क्षिपिशाकान्वितां च हे कृष्णा करुणा सिन्धु दीनबन्धो जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिका कान्ता राधा कान्ता नमोऽस्तुते तप्त काञ्चन गौराङ्गी राधे वृन्दावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वञ्चाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे. So taking you back to the pastimes of Krishna, which are very beautiful. First of all, before we go to the story of Dhenukasur, I would like to give you a practical example of a life. And today in the morning news, we heard that there was a lot of, even in this pandemic of Corona, there was a lot of violence which took place and a lot of miscreants came somewhere near KG Halli. I can't get the place properly. And simply they made some nuisance. And also when you're traveling, like some while ago, I was traveling out of India. And when I was traveling, my co-passengers, there were two types of co-passengers. One passenger, we had to shift our flight, so there were two. So one passenger, it was the first time that I was traveling in the flight, and you would have also had this experience. The first passenger made me feel very comfortable, though he didn't know me, and I also didn't know him. And he actually not that I was a girl or he was a boy or something like that, but he was very caring and he made me feel very comfortable. And the next stop, another passenger came and he came with a laptop and he started, he was totally into himself and he didn't even bother who was sitting next to him, or he didn't even bother whether about his co-passenger or anyone in the whole of the plane. He bothered only about himself. He was only within himself and he was fully into the laptop or seeing the videos. And most of us have encountered such a sight or such people around us. So this is the typical mentality of the demon Dhenukasur that I'm going to talk about in this Leela. And this represents a material person totally engrossed in sense gratification. So coming to that, Krishna Balaram, so they were living in Vrindavan and they were enjoying so nicely. They were simply enjoying. Krishna was playing his flute, dancing and playing, and it was the abode of love. When this abode of love descended into the material world, Krishna allowed many, one after the other, many demons or asuras to come in. And why? In just as Arjuna and Bhagavad Gita represented us, that is the human beings, these demons are representing all of us, every single demon which entered Vrindavan were representing demons within our heart. And each of them represented a specific quality that are killing our own spirituality and that are killing our soul and making us merged into the forgetfulness of Krishna. So one of the demons happened to be this foolish ass, okay, quite proper. His name was Dhenukasur. So let us discuss this beautiful Leela for a few minutes, not simply for hearing the glories of the Lord, which in itself is so purifying to our heart, but also let us try to receive the important lesson on how to come closer to God. So Dhenukasur, he was very powerful and he was a very dear friend of Kamsa. So before this, in the forest of Talavan, there were very beautiful tal trees. And on these tal trees, there were very beautiful ripe fruits were growing. They were the best of fruits in the whole of Vrindavan or the Vraj Bhumi. And Kamsa, you know about Kamsa, he is Krishna's mama. So he wanted to have these fruits for himself. So he sent Dhenukasur. And before this, about Dhenukasur is that actually Kamsa, he had a hobby of wrestling. And when he wrestled with different demons, and all these demons who were defeated by Kamsa, they had to accept the defeat in a way that they had to accept Kamsa as their master. And whatever he says, they had to agree. So Dhenukasur was one of the persons who was defeated by Kamsa, and he accepted his defeat. So he became very dear friend after that. And Dhenukasur, he said, Kamsa said to Dhenukasur, you keep everyone out of this Talavan forest. You can have as many fruits as you want, even your family and your friends, and all the rest of it you send to me to Mathura. And do not let anyone else touch them. So Dhenukasur was very happy and he went to Talavan. And he was so fearsome, he was so powerful that even the animals and birds evacuated that forest out of fear of him. And he would simply enjoy those fruits that grew on the trees, and he sent the rest of the fruits to Kamsa. So this was what Dhenukasur was doing. So we will go back to the previous life of Dhenukasur, who he was. Actually, there's a very big connection between the previous life of Dhenukasur and his recent life. So Dhenukasur in his previous life was actually the son of Bali Maharaj called Sahasika. And though he was the son of a great devotee like Bali Maharaj, you know about Bali Maharaj, I don't want to go into details of it. This this Sahasika was into, he was not like, he was into sense gratification. And one day what he did is, he went to a mountain called Gandhamandana Parvata. It is mentioned in Brahma Vaivartika Puran and Garga Samhita. And he didn't go alone. He went with 10,000 women. And among them was an Apsara called Tilottama. He went only for the purpose of sense gratification. So we can compare it to nowadays youngsters who want to go for party with their friends to different hill stations like Lonavala and so many other places. Like in South India, we have Ooty and all those places. So when they went, when these youngsters go, they do a lot of sound. They create disturbance to the neighborhood and all that. This is what he did. And for his good luck or bad luck, with this Apsara, he entered the cave of one of the Gandhamandaka Parvata, simply for enjoying. For his good luck or bad luck, in the same cave, there happened to be Durvasa Muni. And Durvasa Muni, you know who he is. He is an avatar of Sadashiva and he is easily irritable. So first of all, the noise was disturbing him. And the second, the entry of Sahasika and this Apsara Tilottama. So he cursed him right away. He cursed Sahasika that because you didn't respect me and you're acting like an ass, you become like an ass demon in the Mathura forest, in the forest of Mathura. And then Sahasika realized this mistake and begged forgiveness. So then he said that because of your ancestors, you will be liberated in the same life. And then for Tilottama also, Durvasa Muni cursed her. He said that he cursed her for her actions, and she repented also and cried in front of Durvasa Muni. So Durvasa Muni said that you would be born as the daughter of Banasur, and in that same Leela you would be liberated by getting married to the grandson of Lord Krishna, that is Anirudh. So this was the previous life of Dhenukasur. So now Dhenukasur is born, and one day it so happened that Krishna's friends, headed by Subala, Arjuna, Stoka Krishna, and Madhumangal, approached Lord Sham Sundar and Balaram and said that very nearby they were in Govardhan, in one of the forests in Govardhan, and they were resting. Krishna and Balaram were resting there, and they said that they're very beautiful fruits from Talavan, and they're so sweet. Very nearby, there's a forest. Actually, in the real Vrindavan, this Talavan is around 8 kilometers from Govardhan. And he said that these Gopa boys, they approached Krishna and Balaram and said that they're so sweet, these fruits, that even from here, when the wind blows, we feel intoxicated and we are anxious to eat these fruits. If only we could go to that forest together and we will be very happy eating the fruits. But there are many demons in the form of asses that will not allow anyone. Lord Krishna and Balaram ji, you are very powerful and you are very Bhakta Vatsala. So please kill these demons so that all these fruits we can offer to you. You see, the cowherd boys, they were selfless. Actually, they were not interested themselves in eating fruits. They wanted to simply offer everything to Krishna and Balaram. That was their great happiness. But they could not offer them as long as Dhenukasur was there. So one more thing is this: when someone comes to our house, we cannot tell them, like we cannot ask them directly, "Are you hungry? Will you have like anything?" Most of them say no if we ask them directly. So, but if we say that I'm also hungry, would you join me for lunch or dinner or something? Most of the guests. So this is what cowherd boys did. So they wanted these fruits for Krishna and Balaram for the pleasure to give them. So that is why they came up with this proposal. So Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita that we should offer all our work to him. But because this demon, this ass-like demon, Dhenukasur, is there within our heart, which constantly and lustfully enjoys everything we come in contact with, we cannot do it. So like the cowherd boys, we must approach Krishna and Balaram and beg them to please remove these demons from my heart and offer everything to you for your pleasure. And in your pleasure, I will enjoy the highest, that is yoga. So in Krishna and Balaram, they will always respond to the sincere call of their devotees. Similarly, if we sincerely call out the holy name of God, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, will Krishna will enter into the heart, into our heart, or the forest of our heart, that is into the talavan of our heart, and he will find all these as demons and kill them. So Balaram and Krishna, after hearing the proposal from the cowherd boys, went into the Talavan forest. And when they went into the Talavan forest, Balaram was the first to enter, and then followed by Krishna and the Gopa boys. So what he did is, Balaram went and with lot of force started to shake one of the Talavan trees, and all the fruits from the tree were falling, tat, 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 tat. And so now we come to Balram. Who does Balram represent? Balram actually represents a sadhu. He is the representative of Krishna. And Balram also represents Guru Tattva. Balram is the original Guru. How is this? How is Balram the original Guru? Why not Krishna? Because he is the first expansion of Lord Sri Krishna. Therefore, he is the first one to assist Krishna in his Leela. And what is the duty of the Guru? The internal function of Gurudev is to simply assist Krishna in his mission. So Balram is the Guru of all Gurus. So Balram went into the forest of Talavan. The first thing he did was he started shaking the trees. So when the Guru comes into the Talavan of our heart, the first thing he does is he starts shaking everything. And everything starts falling. Gurudev, then all the ass demons become very angry. They very angry and they say, "Get this rascal out of here." The mind says, "Who is that rascal telling me what to do? Who is he chastising me? Who is he ignoring me? Who is he neglecting me? Who is he trying to get me to surrender when I am the enjoyer? What is he saying these things, hurting my feeling, blaspheming my family attachments?" He does not understand. He does not know. What can he possibly know about my life? As demons are kicking us all these terrible misconceptions. So when Krishna's representative comes into our lives, the first thing he does is he shakes us up. And next, as soon as he starts shaking all the as demons, they become very angry. And so when Dhenukasur heard all these fruits were falling to the ground, he was very upset. who is that? He was thinking that he is the Swami of that Talavan forest, and who is that person who has entered my territory, and how dare he does that? So with that motive, so nowadays you can compare Dhenukasur to the dogs in the street. One dog is guarding one territory without anyone's notice, and when street dog, and when another dog comes, he starts barking and charging, or any stranger comes. It's the same mentality that Dhenukasur showed. So when he heard, he came charging at his opponent, and with such a force that he started creating an earthquake. Our mind, when we take to spiritual life, and when we listen to the holy name, just when we listen to Guru and Krishna, our mind just becomes like an earthquake. That is the practical kicking him. And then what happened? He went forward, and he turned around, he approached Balaram, this demon, and he kicked Balaram with his hind legs. Now Balaram, he just stood over there quietly and didn't show any reaction. For this, the Dhenukasur became even more angry, and he kicked him with even more force. So this time Balaram caught hold of his hind legs with his one hand and swirled the demon around, swirled Dhenukasur around, and threw him with such a force that Dhenukasur, because of his weight, he lost his life. Pushed him into mid-air, and he fell on the tallest tall tree. And because of the force with which Balramji did, Dhenukasur lost his life, and he ended up in the tallest palm tree, and the tallest palm tree started shaking and breaking. When it started breaking, because of the force with which it was shaking, the adjacent palm trees also started shaking, and all the fruits of all the adjacent trees also fell to the ground. So hearing the sound of the fruits falling, the other as demons who were followers of or friends or family members of Dhenukasur, they got agitated, and they also came charging at all their opponents, that is Krishna, Balaram, and cowherd boys. So it was a big scene, like it was a game, Krishna and Balaram killing all these as demons, and the same thing, swirling them around. So finally, all these demons were killed, and it is described that it was like a beautiful color, like color of bluish black, and all these ash demons were in different colors. So the whole scene was very colorful with a tinge of red. And then finally, very happy, the cowherd boys were very happy. They danced around Krishna Balaram singing their glories. So now they finally could offer all the fruits to Krishna, and they could enjoy with Krishna. You see, Krishna never keeps anything for himself. There's always a competition between Krishna and his devotees. The devotees want to offer everything to Krishna and keep nothing for themselves. Krishna is always desiring to give everything to his devotees and keep nothing for himself. So therefore, to the degree we keep for ourselves, to that degree we are poverty stricken. And the degree we give to Krishna, we are wealthy. That is internal wealth. Lord Chaitanya explained, the more we give to Krishna, the more he gives us to give. The more we hold back, the more he holds us. So after all these demons were dead, the demigod started showering flowers, and the boy went into the forest, and with Krishna, they were enjoying nice fruits. So one more question arises, why Balaram killed Dhenukasur and why not Krishna? So it is very beautifully explained, as I told you about the previous life of Dhenukasur. Actually, Krishna, in his form as Nasimdev, had promised Prahlad Maharaj that 14 generations would be liberated. So to keep his Sasika was born in one of those generations. To keep his promise to his pure devotee, Prahlad Maharaj, Krishna didn't kill Dhenukasur, but Balaram killed. And the second is, he also wanted to keep the vow of Durvasa Muni, who had told that Balaramji would liberate Dhenukasur. So this was one. So coming back to Dhenukasur and his implication. So this propensity that we have in our hearts to be the enjoyer, to think that I am the proprietor, I am the controller, this is nothing less than the demon, Dhenukasur, living within our heart. And because of his presence in our heart, Krishna is not there. But when we sincerely call upon Krishna through Balaram, through Gurudev, when we sincerely call through association of good sadhus, when we call for Krishna, when we hear from the sadhus, when we are willing to render service to the sadhus, they start shaking things in our heart. Don't be annoyed when that happens. It is good, it is required. And when it happens, all the demons that are hiding, they start coming out. You see, an enemy when he is concealed is very dangerous. The first thing we have to do to kill an enemy is you have to get them to show themselves. So the sadhu's words, they create such a situation within our hearts that all the demons start coming out, feeling threatened by these words. Therefore, then by the power and grace of Krishna, all of these demons are killed, and the power and grace of Krishna is coming through the holy name. This is the supreme message of all the Shastras. This is the supreme message of all the great Acharyas, that by keeping our mind intent on Krishna, by chanting his names, all of the demons, all of the foolish as like propensities within our heart is vanquished. So, therefore, these two principles are the prime necessities of our life. Associating with saintly persons, inquiring submissively from them. I would also like to quote a verse from Bhagavad Gita where Arjuna also faced a specific instruction was given to Arjuna by Krishna, where this particular propensity was also described. The verse is 3.30. I'll not go into details with that. And the translation is, therefore, O Arjuna, surrendering all your works onto me, with full knowledge of me, without desires for profit, with no claims to proprietorship, and free from lethargy, fight. We have to realize that nothing in the world belongs to the individual person, but that everything belongs to Supreme Lord. This was given in the purport written by Srila Prabhupada. Here, as Arjuna inquired submissively from Krishna, giving up his egoism and lethargy, and be willing to follow up what they say. Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, Tad Vidi Pranipatena Pariprashnena Sevaya. If you want to know the truth, you must approach a sadhu, inquire from him submissively, and render service. Here he says, give up egoism and lethargy. The same idea. Even after inquiring, unless we put it into practice, put those instructions into our lives, we'll fall prey to lethargy. Here, lethargy also represents Dhenukasur. Here in India, we oftentimes many people go to so many pravachans, saptas, but their lives remain the same due to laziness. We are willing to work so hard for the fruits of temporary illusions of the world. When it comes to grasping the real purpose of life, we don't have time. If after all my family maintenance, all my social obligations, all my watching televisions and all my social functions and all my businesses, after all these things, if I have any time, then left, I will go to the temple and I will chant the names of God. Maybe I will even do some puja. This is called laziness, and an intelligent person must make a vow to chant the holy name a certain amount every day, make a vow to associate with saintly persons regularly, and make a vow to do proper puja. And our family, our society, businesses, everything else should be organized around that. If you do it vice versa, you're cheating yourself and you're cheating your family members and you're cheating the world, and most of all, you're cheating God. Putting Krishna first is human life. That is the prime duty. We should not be lazy in this regard. Krishna is chastising Arjuna, but he's really chastising us through Arjuna. So, therefore, on this Janmashtami, let us invite Krishna into our lives. Let us, in the mood of Gopas, cowherd boys, beg Sri Krishna to come into the forest of my heart. Please kill these demons of lust, anger, or envy, pride. through your holy name. And all this will be accomplished. So therefore, Hare Nama Eva Kevalam, Kalo Nashteva Anyata, Gati Anyata. There is no sublime method in all the world in purifying our heart and bringing it back to the transparent, blissful state than chanting the holy name. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Because the name of God is empowered with all the potencies and glories of the Lord. The name of God is like a magnet that can attract our hearts, and simply we must attentively learn to chant the holy name and our lives will be perfect. But without following the instructions of the saintly person and associating with them in our life, the real understanding on how to chant will not take place. So whether we are guests visiting the temple or listening to this lecture online for the first time, or whether we are practicing devotees for 10 to 15 years, we are all in the same position that the holy name is our only refuge, and the humble means of the sadhus is the properly means of approaching the holy name. So with this in our mind, let us practically apply what Krishna is explaining to us in our life. Without practical application, all theoretical knowledge has no values. Whether one is a man, woman, child, anyone can call upon the name of God. So let us take these instructions to heart and let's taste the real sweet fruit of love of God through chanting of Hare Krishna mantra. What I have basically understood about Dhenukasur, before that, I would also say that Dhenukasur also signifies the mode of ignorance. And mode of ignorance is very dark. It is described in Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam that it is covered with ignorance is like a dark well covered by madness, illusion, and laziness. And to get out of it, we have to transcend to the mode of goodness. And that is the only way that we can practice devotional service with the peace of mind and render. And I was hearing to some of the lectures by His Grace Radheshyam Prabhu on the same topic of Dhenukasur. And he mentioned that he was taking a lecture and to youth boys. And he was telling in that lecture that we are not the body, we are the soul. And he also said that don't be inimical towards your neighboring countries, that don't know if you're so inimical and thinking about them constantly, you might end up being born in the country which you hate. So for example, like Pakistan, which we have so inimical. So then at the end of the lecture, one of the boys, youth boys, came up to him and said, Prabhuji, you have shaken me up. And then Prabhuji asked him, why? Uh, how can I shake you up? So he said, all this while I was thinking that I belong to this family, these are my relatives, and I belong to this nation, and I have to do this thing for that. It was like a Dhenukasu's mentality that he was representing. But then after hearing your lecture, I really got the real sense that we belong to what is called as Vasudeva Kutumbakam, that everyone belongs to the family of God and that we are all children. So thank you, and that we are not the soul, and our real identity is that we are the soul, and the real identity is that. And similarly, when His Holiness Jayadvaita Maharaj was giving a lecture, two very fat women attended his class, and he said the same message that we are not the body. And at the end of the class, these Matajis met Maharaj and spoke to him and said that Maharaj, you have shaken us up. And Maharaj was wondering who can shake these people, like they're so powerful. And Mataji said, we are very happy that you told that we are not these bodies. So this will be the end of our life with these fat bodies. In the next life, we can take the thinner bodies. So what I was trying to convey through these things is that we don't even know that so many people don't even know that we are not the bodies, we are the soul. And what do? They start decorating their bodies from buying so many clothes together, decorating, buying so many shoes or so many things and going to the gym to keep their body fit. But at the end of their life, they don't even realize the importance of the soul and a connection with Krishna. So their life is wasted. And unnecessary accumulation of things also represents Dhenukasur. And long ago, there was a story of a devotee who used to visit his guru, and he used to come only like the guru used to come few times, like once in 6 months and all that. And this devotee, whenever the guru used to come, this devotee used to land up. He used to greet the guru very nicely with a huge garland, go and garland him and all that. But then after that, he used to disappear, and no one used to know where he is. So the guru heard about him through the other devotees, and when he came the last time, he said, I will be more happy if you come and attend regularly the program and progress in spiritual life. But unfortunately or fortunately, this devotee didn't take the instructions of the Guru very sincerely, or he didn't take it in a positive way. And he said that the Guru is not fit for him, and he left. He left for he was not found at all. So this also represents the mentality of Dhenukasur. That is in a way that there are, my Guru Maharaj says that there are three types of disciples. The first type of disciple, they don't follow the instructions of the Guru at all. And the second type, they follow the instructions of Guru moderately. And the third one, even before the Guru gives him any instructions, he follows them. He understands the mood of the Guru and just follows them. So we should thrive to become like a third type of disciple to the Guru, so that our lives will be more blissful and more this thing more pure in serving, and the Guru will connect us to Krishna. And the two important lessons that Radhanath Maharaj draws from the killing of Dhenukasur pastime is that two important practical lessons which I would like to share. Balramji is declared as the original spiritual master, and Maharaj compares our hearts within the Talavan forest. The heart is a beautiful place, a place for Krishna to reside and perform his pastimes. The fruits of our heart, which we are supposed to offer to Krishna, are a propensity to love and to serve. But currently, our hearts are filled with innumerable Dhenukasurs and their associate. The propensity to love and to serve, which are fruits meant for Krishna's satisfaction, are being devoured day after day by the Dhenukasur of lust, anger, greed, envy, pride, and illusion sitting within our heart. Consequently, we are becoming more and more selfish and egoistic and not allowing Krishna and his devotees to perform their pastimes within the Talavan of our heart. And Krishna's sweet holy name does not even stay within our heart. So, what is our hope? Balramji representing the Guru, the spiritual master, when we allow the Guru to enter our heart through his instructions, through his example, and through his inspiration, he thoroughly shakes up our false conception of being the proprietor and the selfish enjoyer of the things of the world. Just like Balramji shook the tall thal trees and instigated Dhenukasura, when we take shelter of the instructions of the spiritual master and sincerely try to follow them, the Dhenukasuras of lust, envy, anger, pride, greed, and illusion get destroyed by the mercy of the spiritual master. Only by the grace of the spiritual master can we get rid of demonic contaminations within our heart. And when our heart thus becomes pure and selfless, then Krishna and all his devotees again enter and frolic within the Talavan of our heart and enjoy the fruits of our love and our service. Thus, our heart again becomes a beautiful place. And another important lesson is that Dhenukasura was an ass. He's called as an ass of beast of burden. So as long as we continue in this material conception of life, we remain like asses, carrying the burden of our past sins and our previous lives, and suffering the karmic consequences of all those sins. Also like asses. So what is the mentality of the ass? It carries like a burden of load on its back, and all the day while carrying that, it is meditating at the end of the day what my master is going to feed me. So this is the mentality of an ass. So it's working for futile, and Srila Prabhupada says like it's just like Shrama Eva Kevalam. So also like asses all over the world, people are struggling very hard just for just for the existence in this world. Even if they have a lot, they still work so hard out of greed just to maintain or increase it. With all these enormous efforts, we are just creating a massive kingdom of Dhenukasura, where egoistic desires for enjoying selfishly are creating bitterness and separating friend from friend, individuals from family and society, and nation from nation, and ultimately living entity from God. Thus, we are working hard, so hard like asses, just to be hit by Maya again and again and again. The only way to attain solace in this situation is to take shelter of a bona fide guru and render loving devotional service unto Krishna under his guidance. So one more thing about the demons what Balramji killed, they all are, the Acharyas say that these demons, the devotee by his own endeavor can get out of it when he realizes that these are the obstacles in my spiritual path. And he prays to Balramji to empower him to get over that portion. And yeah, and life after life, we have been forgetfulness of Krishna. And why is this forgetfulness of Krishna? Is because of envy. So even Dhenukasur was also forgetfulness of his real master, that is Krishna. He followed his false master, that is Kamsa, and for his own personal motive, not for anything else. And lastly, I would like to recite Balram Kavacha, which was given to the gopis of Vrindavan by Gargamuni, and later it was given on to Duryodhan. I would like to recite a part of it, a verse of it. Hope you can recite. Kamat sada rakshastu denukari, krodhat sada mam divida prahari, lobat sada rakshastu balavari, mohat sada mam kil magadari. O Denukari, the killer of ass-like demon, kindly protect me from lust. O Divida Prahari, killer of gorilla demon, kindly protect me from anger. O Balavari, killer of the Balvala, kindly protect me from greed. O Magadari, kindly protect me from illusion. Let us always remember Sri Balram hurling the ass demon on top of the tal trees of the Talavan forest. Let us always remember Sri Balram while he killed the Dhenukasura. May the mercy of Sri Balaram flood the earth and sweep away the hearts of all from undesirable contaminations. May he enable us to distinguish truth from illusion for the benefit of everyone. And one more thing I would like to mention that all these demons were devotees in their past life or related to devotees in their past life. But because they did a certain offense, they fell down from the path of devotion and they took birth as demons to be liberated in that life. So we as practicing devotees, we should be careful not to commit any offenses, and we should learn from these demons what happens by committing such offenses. And so let us cast away all the bitter fruits of material attachment. And when we do that and attentively think of Krishna through his name, the ultimate sweetest fruit, the fruit of Prema Bhakti, love of Godhead, we can enjoy eternally and we can distribute that. That is love. That is Krishna Prema. So I would like to end over here. Any questions or comments? Open to discussion. I want to enter it. So that shows a selfish mentality because he terrorized for a wrong reason. So similarly, we have terrorists attacking our country who are willing to give up their lives for a selfish reason. And so many other things like that. And also, lastly, I would also like to tell about His Holiness Bhakti Charo Maharaj. I heard one of the lectures, and he says that what we should pray to Balaramji, and what does finally Dhenukasur represent? He also represents unnecessary hanking for material wealth and unnecessary accumulations of material wealth. So we should ask Balaramji to remove all these unnecessary contaminations in our heart, which are preventing us to progress in our spiritual life. And on this Janmashtami, let us invite Krishna and Balaram together and the cowherd boys to come into the forest, that is the Talavan forest in our hearts, and play their pastimes. And how this will happen when they can remove all the anarthas and anarthas within their heart, within our heart, and that will be possible. And when we sincerely pray through His holy name, they will come and they will purify us. So, with this, I would like to end. And is there any questions or anything, comments, or any suggestions? I'm free and willing to answer how much ever I'm. Thank you.